Welcome to Cookie Movies. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I have the honor and privilege of speaking to writer-producer Rebekah Weigel about her movie Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot. Welcome, Rebekah. Today's a really busy day. We're premiering the movie Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot. Tell me, what was it that led you to want to do this story?
Well, it started in 2013. We adopted two of our children. That situation just opened our eyes to the foster crisis in America and what kids are going through, and came across this story during that time. I was doing a pastor's event and I thought, wow, like this is really the way forward for churches. Like we should all be, this should be who we are, and as a Christian and as someone of faith, like that's why we fostered and adopted. And I really want to see more churches step in the way that Bennett Chapel did.
And that was the message that I took from it was we have all these churches across the country that want to help the community. My wife now wants to adopt 3 kids, so I want to thank you for that.
Did she watch it with you?
She watched it with me. And so tell me about the process of you wrote and produced this. The movie looks great. The performances are astounding. But one of the things I think that's really hard for movies is pacing of a movie, to do the ebbs and flows. And that was something that really stood out to me with this movie, was how well the story just kept progressing. Can you tell me, where does that come in the writing process? Tell me about that.
Well, it was a challenging one to tell because, the story, for those who don't know, was about 22 families that stepped in and adopted 77 of some of the most difficult to place children in the Texas child welfare system. So this story and in the foster adoption world is pretty, like, it's everyone knows about it. It's like the story of Bennett Chapel, the story of Possum Trot. But how do you tell a story of 77 kids and 22 families? And so finding that, balance, and also wanting to be authentic and real, but also not wanting to overwhelm people. And so I think that process of pacing, we had a great editor and that really helped. I mean, there were some scenes we cut back, and we went back and did some pickups and added some few scenes to the rough cut that we felt like we're missing because it was leaning a little too heavy at first. So we're like, we need some more happier moments. So, I think it's a process making a film where you have your script version, you have your, the version you shoot, and then the version you edit. And, it was a challenging one, but we're pleased with where we landed.
Yeah, and it is a really heavy story, but at the same time, one of the things that I took from it was so much hope. When people watch it, what are your kind of hopes they take from the theater after they see this movie?
Yeah, well, I mean, the foster crisis, everyone knows there's kind of a foster crisis, or people think, at least in my realm, a lot of people know, but people don't see the kids. They don't see what they're going through. We're just pretty far removed. And so our goal was to open people's eyes, to show them what kids right in our own country are going through, and really like move them towards caring for kids, because it's easy to look away if you don't drive by an accident. But if you drive by an accident, you see people at the side of the road and they're hurting and they're in pain. The human, your human tendency is to want to pull over and want to help and want to get involved. And so that's our goal with this film too, is really to show enough to move people's hearts with compassion and make them want to help kids get involved. There's all kinds of ways for people to get involved, but that really is our goal. And it is to see a movement start.
Is this is technically your first feature, right?
Yeah, this is our first feature.
So tell me a little bit about, I guess, some of the things that are exciting, some of the things that are scary. What is that process like?
So much goes into a film, and we wanted it to be special. So we have been working on this one for 8 years to develop it the way that we really felt called to develop it and write it and produce it. And it was a very long journey, but that's why it's taken so long, because we really weren't willing to compromise.
But I think that's also what makes it stand apart. It puts Christians in such a positive light, but it doesn't shy away from the challenges that come into play too, which again goes back to that kind of those ebbs and flows.
Yeah, it was, like you said, it's a story about a church, and we wanted to show authentic faith. We are Christians. And when we watch movies, most of the movies that come out of Hollywood, they don't represent us at all. The church scenes are lame or they're boring or pastors are, corrupt. And we just know so many amazing people that are full of faith and their faith compels them to do amazing things. And so those are the types of stories we're drawn to. We do show some weaknesses, as you know, in that journey. But this wasn't a film that everyone was signing up to be a part of. I mean, it wasn't, it didn't fit in the faith-based market because it was too gritty. There was too much authentic, difficulty. And we went to, many of those distributors and, they wanted us to strip out certain scenes or they were worried that certain scenes were going to offend people. And but Hollywood's not exactly making films that make Christians and people of faith look great. And, this didn't really fit in their wheelhouse, unfortunately. So it took a long time to find those perfect people. And really what happened was I was working in child welfare in Los Angeles, working to help the foster crisis in Los Angeles. And I was working for an organization called Care Portal. And it's this incredible technology that connects the needs in the city with churches and people who care in the community. So social workers, school districts put needs into this platform, churches respond. It's really beautiful. It's growing all over the country. And so I took it to the CEO of my company that I loved and respected. And we said, we think you're supposed to read the script. And he read it in one day and he met with us the next night. And it was on a rooftop during COVID. And he said, I cried. I never cry. He said, I think this movie is going to ignite the movement to end the foster crisis in America. And I want to help you get it made. And I want you to make it the way that you feel you're intended to make it. And he went to all of his, people that donate towards his organization. And he put his neck out and said, I think you need to help us get this made. And so that was just so incredible because it was raised entirely through donations so that all the profits on our end could go back to help kids and families in crisis. So, to have your first feature where you're able to have full creative control is pretty unheard of.
One of the things that stood out was, man, the performances are just so good in this. And you have young people. Is there any anecdotes or anything that stood out to you about working with this team of actors and actresses?
Well, we knew that the acting needed to be like so good, especially with the children, because the whole film rested on this one character, so we had to make sure that she really, was believable that she had been through these traumatic things and that she, people rooted for her, but she's also behaving really poorly. And, that's not an easy thing. And Diana Babnikova just knocked it out of the park. She was incredible. I mean, she has everybody crying at the end. And all of our actors, I mean, just such authentic, representations of faith. And just, I think they captured who these characters are so well. I mean, the Bishop Martin and Donna Martin with Demetrius Gross and Nika King, Elizabeth Mitchell, like all of them just exceeded our expectations of, especially with the final product of what we have. Everyone's raving about the performances. And my husband's a director and he also has done a lot of acting and he acted in the film as he was the mega church pastor. I don't know if you know.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is awesome. That's fantastic.
He's taken a lot of acting over the years, really to refine his directing skills so that he can help the actors go to those places. But yeah, we're really brought it to life.
Listen, I loved it. My wife, like I said, loved it. Tell people when they can see this, where they can see it. What's the plan for the rollout here?
We're really honored to be working with Angel Studios. They're taking risks right now that really no one else is taking, especially with films like this that have deep messages of faith but aren't as squeaky clean as some of the other faith films. So we're really excited. I mean, they're all in with us and they're getting it out there. And yeah, we have sneak peek screenings happening with the theaters starting on the 19th for Juneteenth. Actually, there's about 1,000 screens opening up across the nation. We're really hoping that builds grassroots support. A lot of those screens are already sold out, actually, so we're really excited about that. And then opening weekend is 4th of July weekend. We're following up Sound of Freedom. That's when Sound of Freedom came out. And, the idea, let's come together, fight for kids this 4th of July. Yeah, and you can go to angel.com/hope to purchase your tickets.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today. It is a great movie, and I hope other people go out and check it out.
Go get your tickets and support films with purpose and that have something meaningful to add to the world.
What a privilege it was to speak to Rebekah. If you enjoyed this interview, I have a ton of reviews on this channel, so go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of my future content. Also, you can check out some of my previous reviews by clicking on one of these boxes.